So I'm gonna make this video as short and sweet as possible. I'm exhausted. I've been traveling all around Japan and I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, but I do want to cover a couple of things that have happened over the course of the last couple of weeks in UFC. Firstly, I want to talk about the Sean O'Malley and Aljamain Sterling fight. I think that it was a very impressive fight by Sean O'Malley. I think that he fought his fight, and when it comes to a striker fighting a grappler, it really comes down to who can fight their fight the best. And the striker came out on top of this fight. I think that Sean O'Malley was able to be very poised and patient in that fight. And, ultimately he was able to judge the distance of the fight perfectly. And he was able to stand for the most part. And I think a lot of us had in mind that whoever was able to fight their fight in this competition was going to win. If Aljamain Sterling was able to have the majority of this fight on the ground, then we all knew that Aljamain Sterling was probably going to win. And if O'Malley was able to keep this fight standing, then the likelihood of him winning was extremely high as well. And so I think that the key to this fight, what was most impressive to me for this fight, was Sean O'Malley's ability to judge the distance, his ability to keep Aljamain Sterling off of him. I think his knockout was spectacular, but even his knockout, if you look at it in slow-mo, it was a knockout that was very distance oriented. Aljamain Sterling threw that shot, and O'Malley was able to slip out of the way just enough to sneak in his shot and put Aljamain Sterling ultimately away. And of course, it took a couple of other shots to finish the fight, but he was able to hit that bingo button on Aljamain Sterling's chin, and he won the match. And if I had to guess how this fight would end, it was going to either go those two ways. It was either going to be Aljamain Sterling winning by a dominant grappling performance, or Sean O'Malley doing what he did in the fight, and that was being able to kind of hit him with a flash punch and being able to put Aljamain Sterling away. And so now, what do I see in the future of Sean O'Malley? I see that he has a great chance of defending his title furthermore. I think that, he called out Chito Vera, and I think that that's a great matchup. I think that, they fought before, and we didn't get to see the full extent of what could have happened in that fight if both men are 100% throughout the whole fight. And I think that is definitely probably the next fight to make. And if I had to guess who would win that fight, I think I have Sean O'Malley winning. But that's no dig on Chito Vera and his ability to scrap, his well-roundedness. I think Chito Vera is a very well-rounded fighter, and I think that he's a very dangerous opponent for Sean O'Malley. I think that we might see another Sean O'Malley versus Peter Yan. I think Peter Yan needs to get a couple of, at least one fight under his belt that is exceptional, that is dominant, for him to get himself back into title contention, and that's another fight to make. I also think that Aljamain Sterling could be another returning factor in the title matchup. I think that there's a couple of fights to make with Sean O'Malley. But if, let's say, Sean O'Malley were to beat those three individuals, it's going to be interesting to see what else is out there. I think, in that division, we have Corey Sandhagen, who I think is a phenomenal fighter. I think he's a dark horse in that division, a future champ in his own right. And so I think that those are, the top of the heap in the division. the ones that I just mentioned, and it's going to be interesting to see how those cards play out. And so, congrats to Sean O'Malley. To be honest, I think that he's a phenomenal champion. I think he's going to bring a lot of attention to that division, and I think it's kind of the flair that division needed. Hold on, my light's going out. I'm just going to turn it off. I think Sean O'Malley is an amazing person to be champion for that division. He is an amazing marketing guru, and he's going to ultimately bring more fans' attention to that division. And so, congrats to Sean O'Malley. And I also wanted to mention one other thing: the Korean Zombie retiring. I think he could be a future Hall of Famer. And I think anybody who disagrees hasn't been following the Korean Zombie's career closely enough. I think the Korean Zombie has had some phenomenal fights, win or loss. He is a legend to the sport, and although he hasn't been as consistent of a fighter as, you know, other people, I think a lot of people don't realize that a lot of Korean fighters have obligations to their country. A lot of Korean fighters, not even a lot, all of the Korean fighters have a military obligation to Korea, and that pulls them away from the fighting game. It pulls them away from a lot of outside activities. And so I think with that set aside, Korean Zombie has fought the who's. Like I said, win or loss, he always was a game fighter. He always had a chance of winning. From his fight of Aldo to Yair Rodriguez to Ortega, Max Holloway. The list really goes on for the Korean Zombie, and I wish him the best of luck in his future endeavors. Korean Zombie, if I were in control of the Hall of Fame for the UFC, I would definitely induct him in there. He's been a steady gamer in the UFC, and like I said, I wish him the best of luck in his future endeavors. We're starting to see a change in guard when it comes to the generation of fighters. I think that Korean Zombie was one of those fighters that was a part of, you know, the OG generation of fighting, you know, when it came to, like I said, the Aldos, the Uriah Fabers, Cub Swansons. He's a part of that group, and I give him nothing but respect. And so, sorry if this video is a little bit lackluster. Like I said, I'm a little bit under the weather, people. You know, I'm a little bit tired. I've been traveling all over Japan, and I'm going to make a whole separate video on this, but in the last 2 weeks, I've been to, I live in Sendai currently, Sendai, Japan. So I've been to Sendai, been to Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, Fukuoka. I've been to Nagasaki. I've been to a lot of places, and so I'm a bit exhausted. And so I will be coming to you guys for more content on that trip, on the various trips I've been on. I just wanted to put this video out so that you guys knew that even on vacation, I've been paying as much attention as possible to what's been going on. And there's been a lot of changes going on in the UFC. And like I said, we're seeing a change of the guard. We're seeing a change in the generation of fighters. And yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next video.